My goodness, it is one of the most dreary and gloomy overcast days that we have had in a very long time. So one of the only nice things is we end up getting a waterfall like right about this part and then over here, which creates this nice sound effect over to the house. We ended up losing a tree in the last rainfall. You see that? And it's just been laying there for a couple weeks. And that right there is a tree that fell, gosh, last year, that my husband chopped up with the kids. They took a chainsaw and, cut it up, and then we just never hauled it. It's just sitting there all cut up. So I'm here in the morning, getting ready for the day. I feel like horribly unmotivated today. I kind of just want to lay in bed and enjoy the laziness of a rainy day, but I don't have that luxury. I mean, I could take the day off, but I took probably a good week off during the holidays, and I am getting back into the swing of work. Well, we're on week 2 after the new year, but it kind of takes you a whole week to get your mind back into the game and the rhythm of work. So I've got my coffee in my cute little Disney mug. It says enjoy, which is just a super simple reminder to enjoy your life. You only get one, we think. And it has the little understated Mickey Mouse ears on the back, which I love. So big cup of black coffee. How do you drink your coffee? Do you put a lot of creamer in it? Do you put syrups? I do put a little like equivalent of a pump of Starbucks syrup in my coffee. It's the sugar-free kind, and I do 2 Splenda. And that's it. And just black coffee and me. That's it. So this video is all about 3 things. I think I'll just keep it to 3. Maybe I'll cheat and do like 4. 3 things that I want to bring with me into the new year and 3 things that I want to leave behind. I like that as a way to reflect on whatever personal progress I made last year. The goals, the commitments that you make to yourself versus resolutions, which are these like absolute rules that you create that you either stick to or you don't. I like the idea of making these other kinds of softer commitments that are more fluid, and then you can test the extent to which you stuck to that during the year or deviated from that as a way to gauge whether it will work for the next year. And you don't have to do this every year. You don't have to do this at all, but you could do this every week. You could wake up every Monday morning and say, here's a few things that I want to focus on this week and a few things that I want to not focus on at all or leave behind in the past, and just kind of see how that guides the way that you behave for the week. So I have 3 and 3, but before I do that, I wanted to give you an update on my handbag situation. If you remember from the last video where I went down the handbag rabbit hole and started to purchase some cute ones from Tory Burch and Kate Spade, and then one from Teddy Blake that I have an update on. And I wish I had brought my other pairs of glasses with me, because that's the other like recent obsession. So I got my eyes recently checked and realized that my left eyeball needs a little bit of a stronger prescription than the right one. And so I got these nice glasses. These are Saint Laurent. I like that they're understated. I do like flashy, big, fun glasses, but when it comes to work settings and that sort of thing, I prefer something a little bit more understated. And I love the masculine lines of this and the fact that it's tortoiseshell, which I really enjoy, but it's not a very like variable, I think is the word I'm looking for, tortoiseshell, where you see changes in colors all the way around. It's just really subtle, sort of in here. So these are super cute. They are replacing, well, not exactly replacing, because you don't like get rid of your old glasses. These are not clean, but these are the Gucci glasses that I had before, which I also like. I need to clean these lenses. They're so gross, but I really like the red striping on the side. So that's the little like pop of color with the little Gucci. So these are staying, by the way. I'll still use these. But this is the newer prescription, right? This is a little bit then tiny bit weaker. And I love the lines on this. I love the chunkiness of this. I like chunky glasses. I also ended up getting, and I didn't bring them up here and I apologize, these super cute, very inexpensive, because those frames are not cheap, friends. And yes, you can do discount frames online and all of that. I got these super cheap frames from Costco. That's where I get my glasses prescriptions filled. And these have a big black chunky frame, and I'll put a picture here. What I really like is they have these 2 little dots on the sides, each side, that are just like the hardware, the screws that just add a little bit of flair. And then the side thing, whatever you call the thing, the bar that sits over your ear, is particularly funky. So that's fun. So then when I went to pick up, and by the way, the black rimmed ones, those are what you call a computer pair of glasses or an office pair of glasses, meaning the prescription is modified to really adjust to you sitting at a desk and needing to look at a computer. And so it's not designed for you to go out and be able to see long distance. And they're not readers, they're different. Like these are still progressives, but it's a modified prescription so that I'm looking at my computer and maybe up a few feet away and being able to see well there. So those are Office. Those are really cute. When I went to pick up the new daily wear and the Office set, I fell in love with a pair of new Bulgari glasses that are almost like this reddish maroony color. Maybe it has a little tiny hint of a purpley tone, but it's a cool toned color. And here's a picture of me looking goofy at Costco trying these on. So those were mega expensive for me. I mean, mega expensive might be different to you, but that pair of glasses was like $449. And I was like, ay, Dios mío. So those will be the ones that I actually submit to be my prescription glasses, like through my insurance with the progressive lenses and all of that. You know, it can add up. So that was a splurge. But about the bags, if you remember, I had this Teddy Blake bag that I purchased that I actually loved a lot online. And when it came, I liked it too. I thought this was really nice. I enjoy the shape of it. I enjoy the stitching detail, all of that. The problem became when I started to try to style it with clothing that I would normally wear. And it didn't feel like it fit my aesthetic once I was putting it on my shoulder and all of that and thinking, oh, would I really actually reach for this? Or would this just end up being one of those bags that I just admire on my shelf? So I kept having to ask myself that, which was a hint to me that maybe this is one that should be returned. And here's what sealed the deal. Let me go get the two little cuties that I purchased that I was like, oh, I think this is the pink that I was really going for. You'll remember that I said that I was in my dusty pink era. And so the Teddy Blake bag was a little bit more muted in person in terms of the color than I even knew that I was hoping for. And I didn't really understand that the color wasn't exactly the right fit for me until these two cuties came in. And so the packaging is still on this one, but oh my goodness, how adorable is this Kate Spade? And it does have, now, if you remember, I said I don't really carry satchels because this looks best like that. I mean, it's not really designed to be like a crossbody bag that you wear down, but it does have the crossbody ability because you have the strap that you can put in here. But I haven't taken all the packaging off and all that. But this, I think this is the pink that I was in my mind imagining that I love so much. So that's my own fault. That's not Teddy Blake's fault. The bag is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. But I realized when this came in that this is the pink that I really would like to carry more and that I feel is more like neutral and appropriate for my lifestyle. And then the Kate Spade outlet. Did I get those from the outlet? I think I got both of, well, this was the other one that I got with the satchel. This is called the Dumpling, and it's like a faux croco design. It's leather, but it's faux croco, and it's got the little feet on it and a little tassel. And this also can be worn crossbody if you want to. But this is so cute to me. Adorable. I usually don't carry these bags that are like stiffer in design. I have traditionally carried more slouchy bags that have a lot more give, but I'm going to try these out. This is the crossbody strap. And then I got another email from the Kate Spade outlet and decided to pick up this adorable little camera bag is what it's called. And this is a fabric strap. So this is one that I really would wear crossbody, super simple to go shopping in. You know, stick your phone in there, stick your little wallet. I don't carry a huge wallet anymore. I love a huge wallet, but I don't really carry that. I carry a more sort of compact, what you call like a coin purse that has a pocket for your coins, and then you can put some money in there too, like there's a place to put your money, and then it opens up very compact, and you can have just your core like ID and credit cards and whatever. And then a little lip gloss and, you know, your essentials when you go shopping or running errands, and it has the little pocket in the back. This is so pretty. The color is so pretty. So I'm happy with these two, and I decided to return the Teddy Blake bag. That's where this is going. And I almost had a problem. So Teddy Blake has this 14-day return policy. From the day that you receive your bag, you can take 2 weeks to let them know whether it worked out for you or not. Well, the bag was delivered December 28th to my house. And I opened it, you know, enjoyed it, was looking at it, was trying it on, was all of that. And thought that I was going to keep it, like I said, until the cute pink Kate Spade bags came in. I realized I would probably reach for those more. And so anyway, I had this like come to Jesus with myself about the Teddy Blake bag, and I submitted to get it returned on January 6th. I put in the email, actually I think it was the 5th or the 6th. And I got this email back from Teddy Blake saying, we'd love to help you out, but you're not in the 14-day window. And I was like, oh my gosh, have I waited too long? And if so, that would have been fine because like I said, I like the bag enough to keep it. I would use it. I would just prefer others. So anyway, I'm sitting there and then it dawned on me, I am within the 14-day window. What are they talking about? And I went to the calendar to review the dates and I was like, I haven't even hit 10 full days yet. So I emailed them back and then it was crickets. And I was like, don't tell me they're going to ghost me and like not entertain my return request. But what happened is it went to my spam email. Ugh. And so because the lady replied back and was like, I'm so sorry you didn't get my message. Here's what it said. We need this information from you to process your return. All of that to say, I had a much more pleasant experience when I realized that it went to my spam and they sent me a return label and everything's fine. And I would absolutely purchase from Teddy Blake again. I would. Maybe not that color. Even though the color is beautiful, but I'm in a light dusty pink, maybe not that like mauvey pink. So that's all. It was just like a color thing, but it's still pretty. I am still looking for that black Tory Burch Fleming soft convertible bag that's no longer sold. I've seen some, but they've been scratched up. The ones that I've seen, like when you blow up the pictures, you can see little nicks and scratches on them that I would prefer not to have. I would like a bag that's in better condition than that. And so I've got my eye open and I'm watching some of the listings that I have seen to see if the prices go down. Okay, because it is a cold day and because it is rainy, we have a fragrance friend here. I think her name is Tati Perez. If you're watching, Tati, hey girl, hey. She has been talking about, I believe this is the combination that she's been touting and telling us to try. Gris Charnel from BDK, which is a sandalwood fig tea fragrance. Ooh, with some sweetness. This is so good. I denied the goodness of this for a long time, but I'm now on board. She talked about layering it with Blanche Bête from Liquide Imaginaire. Imaginaires? You say the S? I don't know. Whatever. I'm over the French pronunciation, please. I just really am. Can we talk about that another day? I try to be polite about it, and I try to respond kindly. But when I see some of the comments about pronunciation, I'm like, it's just not that serious, friends. I don't know. Anyway, another day. I'm going to try to layer these and we'll see. Actually, let's do it now. Let's see. By the way, when you layer, at least this is my opinion, I wouldn't recommend spraying directly on top of each other, but spraying on different, like I'm going to spray this on my arms and maybe spray this on my torso and then let them sort of commingle in the air. So let's try that out. Oh, she was not lying. Tati girl, if you're out there, this is the combo. So that's just on initial spray. Super good together. This lends this delicious creaminess, floral creaminess to this one. Oh, which is, like I said, sandalwood fig tea. I think there's vanilla in here if I remember correctly. It definitely has a sweetness to it. That's a great combination. So thank you, girl. So let's get ready and talk about this New Year stuff. I'm going to start off with a little bit of concealer. I'm going to keep it kind of light. Famous last words. Yeah, right. I'm going to cake it all on. I'm going to cake it on. This is from Kevyn Aucoin, and this is the, what do you call it? The Central Skin Enhancer. I don't even know if this is sold anymore. I haven't checked for this in a while. It's the color SX10. I don't know what that means. And it looks, yeah, it's still good. I have to smell things. I've had these things for so long. It looks gross, but I promise you it's fine. It's just the ridges that make it look like it's diseased or something, but see, it's like this little putty that you can use to anywhere on your face. I mean, I guess you can use this if you wanted to as a, I didn't put on moisturizer. Hang on a second. I did have on my Essence and my dewdrops, the niacinamide dewdrops, but I had not put on my Paula's Choice moisturizer. So I did not put moisturizer on top of this. I just put it all around. So you can use this skin enhancer all over your face if you want. I've never done that. I've never watched a makeup artist actually use this all over the face, but I'm just going to use it as eyeshadow, primer, and a little bit of concealer. So let's get to it. The three things that I want to leave behind into last year. One is, and this is one that I've been working on a consistent basis, and I've gotten kind of good at, I think, and I want to keep doing, is leaving behind the sense of obligation. False obligation, imposed obligation. So this goes along the lines of giving myself permission to bail, B-A-I-L, out of anything that I don't want to be a part of. So if we know the whole idea of growing up with like the good girl syndrome, where to be accepted and loved by others means to always say yes. If you're that person, you know what I'm talking about. And it takes almost like a lifetime of reprogramming yourself out of that, which I've been doing here in my older age, if you will. and I want to continue to do as I go into the new year. So giving myself permission to bail on anything. And I'll give you some like more benign examples and then maybe something that's a bit more serious, if you will. I mean, serious is relative, but like a candle. I was burning a candle the other day and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It was not an inexpensive candle. Well, for me, I mean, it wasn't $100 candle, but it was probably $35 or something. And in the past, I would have felt obligated to continue to burn that down to get my money's worth. But in the process of getting your money's worth, you're putting yourself through a miserable experience. And for what? To say that you got your money's worth? The item didn't work out for you. Give yourself permission to bail. Now, some might argue, well, you should make better purchasing decisions in the first place. But friends, sometimes you just don't know until you get the thing in hand, like the Teddy Blake bag. It was beautiful. It's still pretty. It just didn't work out in the end when I really gave it a second of thought here at home and had the opportunity to try it on. Same thing with a candle. You don't know how a candle's going to work out until you burn it, and it didn't work out. Most of my candles do work out. But that's a small, simple example of, in the past, I would have felt obligated to burn that thing down to the very end to get my money's worth. But I'm in this place where I'm like, oh, we were about a quarter of the way through, maybe a third of the way through, because I really did give it a good chance. And I was like, this just isn't working out. My family wasn't enjoying it. So it was time for the candle to go. Time to bail on the candle. The same thing is true of other products. For example, I've tried some lipsticks here recently that I just haven't been enjoying as much. Let me pause. I'm using the Smashbox Studio Skin 24-hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. I'm trying to rotate through some of my foundations and use them more. This is in the color 2.3 light medium, and it has an undertone of warm. By the way, when you get to your foundations, if you're someone that has a lot of foundations, I sometimes will see YouTubers, influencers, or whatever say, oh, this is spoiled or ruined or expired and I'm going to throw it out, because the materials inside have separated. Like if it has some sort of oily texture, it might separate from the dyes or tints or whatever that are used in the foundation. That's craziness to me. Just shake it up. I mean, unless you, like I just said, if you want to bail on it, bail on it. But for me, it's just a matter of shaking it up and reintroducing the mixture of the ingredients to each other. So anyway, quick tip there. And I like to shake up my foundations probably every 2 to 3 weeks. I'll go in and just spend a few seconds, doing one of these numbers to keep things nicely blended. In other words, if it's separated, it doesn't mean that they're expired or not good. I don't know where people came up with that idea. But anyway, back to the lipsticks. I've gotten some really nice lipsticks more recently. And I have to say, yes, I know this is overkill on the foundation. We will make it work, I promise. I've gotten some very high quality lipsticks, and I've gotten some lipsticks that, just didn't, the coverage, the opacity wasn't right for me. And I've kept them. I've held on to them. Why? I don't know. But lately, like I've tried a few where they don't glide on the way I want them to. They don't give me the kind of coverage on my lips that I want. And it really doesn't have to do with cost, but it does have to do with the formula. Like I have some fantastic Maybelline and L'Oreal lipsticks that rival like the Gucci and the Charlotte Tilbury and all of that. And I love all those, but there was like one from Milani, for example, that I used recently that I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the tone of it. And I kept trying to convince myself that I did. And finally I was like, no, like it's just not working out. And lipstick's not something I can pass along to people, except for like my sisters who they don't live in the States, so I can't pass them along to her. Our daughter doesn't wear lipstick. She just wears lip gloss. So that was an item that I actually just had to toss. It didn't work. I had it for several years and I was done with it. So I bailed on it. The same thing is true for relationships. Like I'm past the era where I feel obligated to stay in relationships or nurture relationships past the point of their usefulness to me and my usefulness to that person, because it goes both ways. I mean, there are folks that cycle in and out of your life, that whole reason, season, lifetime kind of concept, where maybe they're meant to be there for forever and be your BFF, to the grave, or maybe they're there for a season of whoever you are at that moment in time, the person that you became then, and you vibe with them, and then you kind of maybe grow apart, or you have different interests, or you go down different tracks, and that's totally fine. Or they're there for a specific reason. There's a moment in your life that they enter, serve that purpose, or you do that for them, because it goes both ways, and then that comes to an end, and it is okay to move on from those things and to not feel bad. Not feel that sense of false obligation to create the like pretense that things are still great between you. let things naturally fade away. So it's the sense of obligation that I am continuing to let go of. I did pretty well with that in 23, and I would like to continue to leave that obligation behind as I move forward and just give myself permission and give other people permission for us to just sort of drift apart. It's totally fine. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean I dislike the person. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't entertain, at some point in the future, if I were in their town, calling them up for coffee or lunch or whatever. But our time, our intimate one-on-one time, friendship, whatever the thing is, just has come to an end. Totally okay. Time to move on and release them and release myself from the obligation of each other. Speaking of an old product I have not released because it still serves me well. I love this. Remember the Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer? I think this is called an Omega. Yeah, Omega Bronze. It's this kind of color. It's almost like neutral, cool toned. I still love this. So this is still rocking tough in my collection many years later and has outperformed a lot of the newer bronzers on the market. We're doing all right here. I'll give you another example of a recent thing that I would have felt maybe some sort of false obligation to respond to. I'm in a number of Facebook groups. I'm in there anonymously. I'm not in there as myself. I never comment. I just use them to gather information, to learn things, all sorts of things. I mean, there's any manner of Facebook groups for any hobby you can imagine. So yes, I'm in a number of like Facebook fragrance groups, makeup groups, hobby groups, local groups. There's one that's like a version of Nextdoor, but not quite as serious. Nextdoor is a whole trip, y'all. People are crazy on Nextdoor. Are you on Nextdoor? Sometimes I see those posts and I'm like, woof. Ay, ay, ay. I don't like to use the term Karens and Chads, but there's a lot of Karens and Chads on Nextdoor that just get worked up over seemingly nothing. And I'm like, folks, calm down. It'll be something like somebody be like, this person rang my doorbell twice today. Has anyone seen them? Do you know what they're doing? Like there's the paranoia. I'm like, they're probably just trying to sell you something. Don't answer your door. Move along. Does this really need to be on Nextdoor? Ay, people. The things that folks like perseverate about cracks me up. So the Facebook group, it's a local county-based Facebook group here that is about like, do you like this restaurant? What do you think about shopping in this area? Does anyone know a plumber that works on this kind of problem? Like in that way, it's sort of Nextdoor-ish. But one of the people in that group recently put out a post in the group, get this, that was like, I want to start another Facebook group for middle-aged women in the area. Maybe you're an empty nester, maybe you're going through the change in life or whatever. Maybe you're feeling lonely and just want some friends. So the point of the group was to meet other women that are in their middle age and create friendships. Me in the past, I normally would have responded to something like that. I would have felt some sort of sense of like obligation and interest, like some mixture. And I looked at that this time and I was like, nope, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Because all I could imagine was feeling obligated then to attend the events of the group, like to get together. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm in this phase where I'm like, I don't need any additional friends. I don't want to feel any extra obligation to leave my house when I don't want to. I don't feel the need to get to know anybody at this point in time. I'm still getting to know my colleagues. Heck, I'm still really getting to know the girlfriends that I've had my entire life. We're still like evolving and changing and getting to know the new versions of each other. I'm still getting to know some of y'all that I've met here on YouTube. Like my life is full with people that I think are wonderful and that I enjoy. And I just don't feel that need for connection. Like, listen, I don't knock people for joining those groups. If that's what they need, if they're feeling lonely and they want connection, for sure. I personally am talking about not feeling the obligation to respond to that call to friendship action. I'm good. I'm going to attempt to do a work appropriate look with the Anastasia Cosmos palette. I don't know what I'm thinking today. I'm drawn to this, so I'm going to put that on the eyelid and maybe something like that in the crease and call it a day. I don't know. Or maybe I'll do one of the brown colors in the crease. We shall see. My eye looks have been fairly simple these days, but I'm going to start with that. And this is called Supernova, which I think has, I'm going to go with that because it's more cool toned. We're going to go with that. The Supernova purplish color. That's what it looks like. Let's just go ahead. Let's get to it. Let's do it. Let's do it to it. So we have a women's group in our neighborhood. That's another example. And when you first come to the neighborhood, when I came here, we moved here, I guess it's going on 6 years now, 6 years ago. It feels like yesterday. When we first moved here, they try to recruit the new ladies to the neighborhood into the women's group, or at least they invite you. And I just remember thinking, my husband was like, why don't you join and get to know people? And I'm like, because I don't want to. I have zero interest, and I find a lot of the ladies here, I'm sorry, I just find a lot of the ladies here to be unnecessarily pretentious and full of themselves, and that's just never me. I love the community. I love the quiet and the peace and the security of the community. But the way that some of these ladies, and a number of them are what you call nouveau riche, they just recently came into some money, like in their later part of life. It's a whole different mentality than old school money, friends. It's a whole different mentality. Nouveau riche kind of screams and needs to be loud and improve itself and all of that. And that's just not my thing. It never has been. I'll just never be that person. I don't think. We'll see. Maybe one day I will be. But today and recently, I haven't been. It's not my thing. I think I am going to keep the crease neutral and start with that. Let me do that through the crease. I didn't want to join the group. In the past, I would have felt obligated. I would have joined and I would have like muscled through the gatherings of those groups. But you know what? I'm at this age and this era of my life where I'm like, I don't want to go to your house. I just don't. I don't want to sit at your table. I don't want to shoot the breeze for hours. I don't want to talk about other people in the neighborhood. I don't want to gossip about neighborhood affairs. And I also don't want you in my house. I remember my sweet husband wanting to invite some of our neighbors over when we first moved in, like, let's have a barbecue and have the neighbors over. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not want these folks up in my home. I don't want them feeling comfortable ringing my doorbell whenever they feel like it. My house is my sanctuary. I've said that in other videos, and I treat it very seriously. And I don't let just any old body up in my house. Obviously, our family has visited. Some of my good friends that have been friends for a long time have visited. Of course, they're welcome. But new folks, I kind of side eye new folks. You know what I mean? I don't care for having a lot of company. So that obligation that I would have felt in the past to entertain, to be at people's houses, to join these groups, to form new friendships, and be kind to people that I don't know and don't care about, and likely don't really care about me. They're just being nosy. I'm good. I will pass. I'll pass on that opportunity. Thank you very much. And really just focus on the people that are in my life now that I love, who have proven to be good friends to me, and hopefully I am to them. My family, who is always there. My husband's family, who is wonderful, all of that. Like, let's just focus on that. Or my colleagues who I adore. I'm good. So that obligation to stick to things or to entertain new things, be it objects, right, products, like the Teddy Blake bag example, it went back. It just didn't work. In the past, I would have given it a go and tried to wear it and tried to make it work out. I'm just in a different place now where I think I realized earlier when those things are not for me, and I move on faster. So I'd like to continue to leave behind the obligation factor of that. Does that make sense? The second thing I want to leave behind, and this was one that I am continuing to work hard on because I preach about it, but I'm really bad about doing it myself. It's one of those like, do what I say, not what I do kind of things. And it's the self-doubt and chatter that lives in our heads. If you know, you know. If you grew up as a perfectionist, and I've talked about why that is in the past, the sort of economic situation that I was in and how that created conditions for people to have that sort of crab barrel mentality. You know what I'm saying? Where people are kind of clawing over each other to be different, to be noticed, to achieve, to stand out. And what that does for the mentality of entire communities of people. We could do a whole segment, a whole little mini series of YouTube videos on that, the sociology and psychology of the crab barrel mentality, particularly in poor communities. It's a whole thing, friends. It's a whole thing. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, be glad that you don't know. It's okay. It's okay. Not everybody needs to understand that, but if you understand it, you can understand, you know, rather how crippling that can be and how debilitating it can be for how you think about yourself and others, and the sort of self-imposed limitations and expectations that creates. So with that said, I have a habit of very negative mental chatter. An example, I have shared with you all that I'm in a new role at my job. I'm still with the same wonderful organization that has been really good to me for the past 6 years or so. I love it there. I love it. I love the people. I love the work that we do. I love the way I am treated. But I have really high standards for myself, and I happen to work among some very, very brilliant people, some of the nation's best and brightest, some of the world's, I mean, we have an international organization, some of the world's best and brightest and most thoughtful people, most well-educated, like elite intellectual minds. I don't consider myself an elite intellectual mind, but I want to hold my own among them. And so in a recent meeting, we were discussing a strategy for a new sort of a business approach that we wanted to take. I have the need to prove myself, which is something I'm working myself. I'm backing out of slowly as the years go on. But something in me kicked in during this one particular meeting, and I spoke too soon. And I said something that really came across wrong. It just kind of showed my ignorance about the matter. And another leader in the conversation very gently was like, well, actually, this is more than likely what's going to happen, and sort of like indirectly corrected me. And it was in a very gentle way, and it needed to happen because I realized after I heard what that person say that what I offered was just totally inappropriate and like way off base. Okay. And in that moment, I would normally beat myself up mentally. And I kind of did for a second. And then I had to pause and go, don't do this, Veronica. I had that moment where I was like, what you said, Veronica, was so dumb. It was stupid. People are going to think you're dumb. They're going to think you don't know what you're talking about. Like I felt like I had completely like invalidated myself. And I realized, of course, in the moment that that was a very harsh thing to say to myself. And I should do better. I need to do better in the way that I sort of comfort myself in moments where I think I do feel less than or not as smart or whatever. And so that sort of negative self-talk, you're stupid. Why did you say that? Why didn't you just be quiet? Why didn't you? You shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, could have, would have. Some of the most toxic words that you can use as you're talking to yourself. I am working actively to remove that vocabulary from my mentality and also to not use that when I'm talking with others. So like I try to be a lot gentler, for example, with my husband and with our children when there are perceived mess ups or missteps, and take them as lessons learned versus letting that voice, that perfectionist voice that's in my head, dictate the tone and tenor of what's coming out of my mouth. Because, I'm not that person I'm not fragile, and I'm not that person that believes that, words are tremendously important, but they do carry some weight. So you have to be careful the way that you say things. And even though for myself, words may not have as much weight as they do perhaps in society here in the early 2020s. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We live in a very, very hypersensitive era. I'm not that person, and I never will be. But I do believe that the words that we say to others, especially if they value our opinion, then become the voices in their minds. So I don't want our children, for example, to grow up with negative self-talk. So my husband and I actively try to speak kindly, compassionately, empathetically to them in ways that maybe we didn't have growing up or didn't allow ourselves to think growing up. I hope that that makes sense. So then the last thing I think I want to focus on leaving behind is manipulation by others. You kind of can see a theme across these three things, and how, the mentality that you had growing up really follows you into adulthood and kind of haunts the way that the way that you behave and do things. It's almost like we spend a lot of our lives kind of undoing the indoctrination of the past, and it's different for everyone. So I'm just talking, of course, about my own experience. Now, I was pretty good in 2023 about saying no to people and making sure that no was a complete sentence. I love that. No is a complete sentence, meaning, and especially us ladies who tend to over-explain ourselves to everyone, when you don't want to do something, if something isn't in your best interest, if you decide it's not for you, it is okay to say to people, no, no, thank you. No, not for me. And that's it. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to go into a long, oops, hang on a minute, friends. Oh, this is why they tell you, let it dry, let it dry, let it dry. And I don't ever let it dry. I always do exactly what I'm doing here, but it never goes this bad. Hang on. Okay, all's well with the world again. I have been that person in the past that felt like I needed to over explain myself, especially if I felt bad about saying no. And I've come to realize, of course, as I get older, all of these are lessons of life, the wisdom of life, that really the imposition, the bad thing that's happening is that the person keeps insisting that you say yes when you mean no, that they're making you feel bad about that. So the way that that showed up in as a test, if you will, in 2023 were a couple of trips that some of my friends wanted to take. Meaning I would need to leave my home, travel somewhere else, sleep somewhere else, in a hotel, a bed and breakfast, a rented home, whatever it is, and be away from my family, which is something I'm trying to do less of, noting that our kids are about to be out of the house. I mean, they're older teenagers, right? Like I don't have a whole lot of family time left with them before they're going to fly the coop, so to speak, go off to college, and really not think it's cool to hang out with mom and dad. So anyway, that's me and my journey. That's not the problem of my friends, but it's part of my values right now, right? And so folks creating these trips and me saying, I'm really sorry, that doesn't work for me. And there were various reasons that things didn't work out. I might have had work travel that was backing up to whatever it is that they wanted to do, and it would have been just too much, like too much stress on me, or I didn't want to have to fly somewhere, or I didn't want to have to, whatever the thing was. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The point is, I had plans. I had other things that I would have had to reschedule. Like our kids have activities on the weekend. They have sports and clubs and music lessons that we are involved in and driving them around to. They have events that we want to see, performances, that kind of thing. And I don't want to miss any of that. Period. End of story. Like that's my life and I don't have to explain myself. So I've gotten better about not explaining myself. And what I mean by this particular one, because it sounds like the first one, it sounds like I'm saying no to obligations. This one is no to manipulation, meaning that when I would say, no, I'm sorry, that weekend doesn't work for me. I can't attend. Like, go on, y'all have fun. Skype me in or something. There would be someone in the group that would try to tell me how I could make it work out. Well, why don't you just do it this way? Why don't you schedule that thing for this day so you can free up that so you can come hang out with us? And while I appreciate the intent behind it, which is to spend time with me, I did not appreciate and will never appreciate and don't need to appreciate having someone like try to manage the reason that I can't come. No is a complete sentence. I said no. It's not that I can't make it work out. It's just that it doesn't work. It doesn't work and I don't want to make it work out. And that is totally fine. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. There's numerous examples of that, but that's probably like the clearest one where you always have that person that's trying to help you figure out how you can make a no a yes. And I'm like, no, it's a no. It's a no. I'm really sorry. Now, I know for those of you that enjoy getting together with your friends and all of that, that sounds really almost like cold. And it's not. It's not. It's just about like being like clear on what your obligations are at the moment and where you want to put your time and energy. And for me, with the whole like traveling to see friends thing, if it's too fussy, because I've done that in the past, I've done it where like the trip gets unbelievably like exponentially fussy. It might have been the idea of like, let's go to the shopping mall together. And then all of a sudden that turns into like this 12-step thing where, you know, you got to do all these things, jump through all these hoops to make the thing happen. It usually happens with like trips abroad or, you know, you have to like travel, you have to fly somewhere. And we were supposed to do this or supposed to do that. And all of a sudden there's 20,000 steps involved and it got really complicated and it kind of like takes the fun out of the whole thing. Speaking of that got totally messed up. I swear, I know a lot of y'all have left really thoughtful directions on how I should do my eyebrows. I'm just giving up, y'all. I'm hopeless. That's it. That is it. I am hopeless and it's okay. That's just gonna be the thing that y'all like. It's our little joke. You know that my eyebrows are gonna be a little messed up. A little messed up. I'm going to overdo it every time, regardless of the recommendations that come in. So things that I do want to take into 2024, into the new year. One is, look, you know, everybody talked about the quiet luxury trend. For me, it's like just quiet time at home, which includes downtime and good sleep. I slept pretty well this past year. I slept pretty well the year before. I started to sleep well in 2021, although the beginning part of 2021, the beginning part of 2020, I had horrible sleep. I would wake up several times a night. I would not be able to go back to sleep. I would get back on my phone. I would be up for hours, all of that nonsense, and be uncomfortable. I don't know what happened in the end of 2021 into 2022, but I think I just made up my mind. I'm going to sleep well. And for me, that means a couple of things. I have to get ready for good sleep. Okay, so the way that I do that is I have to wind down for the night. I go to bed early. Many nights I am happy to be wrapped up in blankets by 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest. Sometimes we go into 10 and 11 o'clock. I mean, life is life and you have things to do. So when late evening comes, and I'm talking about after dinner, the outside world gets shut out. I may send an occasional text or something, but I don't talk to family. I don't talk to outside of this house. Like, I don't do phone calls. I don't do emails for work. I may watch a little bit of TV. I may listen to a little bit of music. I may watch a YouTube video, but it is wind down time. So our dinners usually end between 7 and 8, and that's late. Like if it's ending at 8, we've had a late dinner. You know what I mean? Usually we're done about 7:30, and we're washing dishes and everything's put away. My kitchen is clean before I go upstairs. That's like a must for me. And the kids and my husband, we all help each other get the kitchen in good shape so that when we come down in the morning, it's fresh and it's clean. That's important to me. I can't like sleep knowing that the kitchen is dirty and there's dishes in the sink. That's just me. And I need to stop eating and drinking. If I have a glass of wine at dinner, that's one thing, but I need to not have additional glasses before I go to sleep because it affects the way that I sleep and I have weird dreams and I wake up all sweaty and all sorts of stuff. I can't eat past a certain hour. It just doesn't work for me. So I need my evening to be really wind down time, and I do a really regimented skincare routine in the evenings using the Hourglass Owl palettes, and I think I'm going to take some of these pinky tones as my blush. So yeah, I clean off my makeup. There might have been like one day last year where I was just so exhausted at the end of the night that I didn't clean my makeup off, but I am very, very, regimented about that and make sure it's a routine. I do my like 3-step cleansing process, and then I do my skincare, which includes an active like a retinol, retinoid, something like that, a serum. The Good Genes by Sunday Riley has been my best friend. Actually, let me show y'all what that looks like. It's this one, Good Genes. When I tell you I wake up with fresh baby face, here you go. And then I usually put on a pretty thick moisturizer in the evening because I want to go to sleep like a glazed donut. Having my face right, my teeth clean. Now I'm wearing aligners at night to keep my teeth, aligned because I did the Invisalign treatment. That signals to my mind, it's time to chill the hell out and go to sleep, girl. Get yourself in that bed. I put on a fan. We have a stand-up fan in our room. I'd love to get one on the ceiling, but for some reason this older house doesn't have a fan in our bedroom. This eyebrow is bugging me. It just feels like it's sticking out, trying to do its own thing. Whatever. Really quickly, I got interrupted, so I forgot where I was. I'll come back to the topic. I'm using Wedding Day as my lipstick, and this is from Huda Beauty. This is one that's really soft. I have 2 of these, and like the bullet on it has gotten dislodged, if you will, from the base, and so I use this technique. Look, if you're older and your lips are changing, they're getting like more wrinkled, or the edges of them are harder to define, which happens because you lose the sort of body that you have in your lips. And then there's this whole thing where you lose a lot of your top lip as you get older, a whole other conversation. But you can either take a brush or a finger and just kind of pat it on so that you don't create those harsh lines. And then, for a work situation, sometimes that's nice. You just want a little bit of tint on your lips. You don't want the whole like lip liner and plumped lip effect and harsh edges. So that creates some color on your lips without the commitment of a full lip look. And then in the last Sephora sale, picked up a couple of the Dior Lip Glow oils. And I like this color because it has a little bit of tint to it, just a tiny bit. And it goes with the eye look, I think. See? So that's it. Like, that's the look for today. I don't think I'm going to do anything more special with my hair. It's way too humid outside to try to either straighten it or curl it. Look, y'all, I'm getting my hair dyed this Saturday. I think at some point I will be ready to go gray. Maybe within the next 5 years. Like, just let the color go. I do enjoy the color, though. My hair looks horrible. This is day 4 hair, y'all. I was supposed to wash it today, but that didn't happen. That did not happen. Probably because it was raining. I didn't want to go through the trouble of like washing and drying it and then having the humidity destroy my hair. Are we semi-clean up here? It's presentable. And I'm going to be wearing like a headset anyway for work today. So the last couple of things, the sleep. I'm sorry. So I love to get in the bed, put the fan on. I need the coolness of the fan. I need the environment to be cool. And I like heavy covers. I do. I like to feel like I'm in like a little cocoon with my covers. My husband will watch some TV sometimes late in the evenings while I'm falling asleep. I use these little silicone earplugs from a company called, I think it's Max. I'll put them here. I get them off of Amazon. And if you live in a city, or if you have a snorer, someone that snores, or kids that play loud music or whatever, you need quiet. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. These little things, they squish and they fit inside of your ear here. They don't go into the canal of your ear, but there's enough of like a little push in that they create this like suction. And it gives me the most peaceful sleep. My husband can watch all the TV he wants for as long as he wants. The light doesn't bother me, the sound does. Especially because he watches movies that are like bang, bang, like they're going after bad guys, and there's chase scenes, and there's things blowing up, and there's pow, pow, and punching, and all this nonsense. All this nonsense. I can't listen to that and have a peaceful sleep. The light doesn't bother me. So I'll put those little ear things in. I've got a nice pillow that feels good. And I love my flannel sheets. I am in sleep heaven, and I'm gone. Like, I don't have any troubles falling asleep. I used to. I don't know. I feel like I have let go of a lot of anxieties that used to plague me. Like I made a commitment to myself not to worry. That's hard because I do worry about things. Of course, I'm human, but like realizing that worrying doesn't change things. In fact, worrying makes things worse. I can't control the thing I'm worrying about. So I try to like mentally convince myself to just let it go, at least for the night. I can pick it up in the morning. I can wake up and worry about it then. But at night, like give myself permission to just sleep well. It's such a good thing. Such a good thing. I do wake up probably about 4 times to pee. That is because although I don't eat and drink at night, I do drink water before bed. I don't know. I feel I need the hydration, and then I drink throughout the night. I have a big tumbler of water that I keep near my sink. And every time I use the restroom in the evening, I go over to my sink, wash my hands, and get a good sip of water. And so that keeps me hydrated and it keeps me tinkling. But outside of that, I'm having deep, restful sleep with good dreams that I really love. So that's important to me. That and the downtime of like winding down the routines of the home, waking up early in the peace and quiet before everybody else is up, having my cup of coffee, and then winding down in the evenings. And then everything in between is absolutely insane. And that's okay. But I leave it to that. So that's something I'd like to bring into the new year. I also want to bring into the new year, this will be new for me, a slight upgrade in fashion. I am not a fashionista. I don't chase trends and fashion things, but I just mean for myself, upgrading a little teeny tiny bit beyond just like leggings and Crocs every day, which I love. And I'm still going to go to the grocery store and that stuff. But like my husband and I, we do date night, meaning our date night is real simple, y'all. We go to a restaurant and then we go to Costco and grocery shopping. And that's our routine, and we love it. And that's okay. But I don't have to go in leggings and Crocs. I could put on a nice pair of form-fitting jeans, that show off my lady curves, if you will, and put on some decent shoes, and maybe bring one of those bags that I spent all that money on at the end of the year. Maybe that. It doesn't have to be like a fanny pack. I can upgrade from a fanny pack for our date nights, and then I can do the rest of that during the week. So I want to do a little bit slight upgrade to that, my fashion, and also be a little bit more put together for work. I've been a little lazy and done more days of work now without any makeup or anything. And not that I care whether other people are wearing makeup or not, but for me, if I'm not wearing at least this amount, which is a pretty simple face, right? This is not an extravagant face. I don't feel put together during meetings. And then even internal meetings, that affects my mentality during those meetings. So I want to just zhuzh it up just a little bit so I feel my best presentable self. I don't have to be super fancy. And then the last thing that I want to continue to bring into 2024, I started this a little bit last year. I wasn't as good about it as I wanted to be. It is doing the things today that the tomorrow me will thank me for. Let me say it a different way. Doing all the small things that the me of the future will be grateful I did now. That could be in a number of different arenas. It can be health related, nutrition related, self-care related. For me, it's really about the little task things. There are lots of little things that I tend to let build up, and then I tackle them all like on a Saturday morning. And then my Saturday morning is all gunked up. You know what I mean? And I don't really get to enjoy that. And I'm wishing that I would have taken care of those things before. Examples of that are things like my vehicle registration. So I have to renew the registration every year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever the subscription is that you have, the pace that you have. The email came in for that recently. It's time to re-up your registration. I would normally go back to that email in a few weeks. My mind would go, I'll deal with that later. I have other things to do. And that is true. But when you do that often, those little tiny things end up building up. And so I stopped what I was doing. I opened the email. I paid the registration. Boom, done. And when the stickers came, I immediately took them out of the mail, took the little stickers off, walked out to the garage and put them on my license plates. I had to stop what I was doing and just do that. Like clean it up, get it off. Get it off my mind, get it off my plate, be done with it so I don't have to worry about it. It doesn't mentally clutter me up for later. There's lots of things like that, including replying to text and emails. I am so bad about letting text and emails in general, aside from the registration thing, personal texts from friends and family just build up and I don't respond because in my mind, I'm like ripping and running. And so I'm like, okay, I'll respond to this girl later, to Jane. We'll call her Jane, whoever Jane is. I'll respond to Jane later, right? Because I have every intention of responding. Intent? I have every intent of responding. Intent is when you mean to do something. Intention is the feeling that you have about the thing. So I'm trying to, y'all, I'm working on my SAT vocabulary. The intent. I have the intent to respond. And then later comes and continues to come. And it's 2 weeks later and I look at Jane's text and I'm like, oh my God, I never responded to Jane. She's going to think I don't care about her. That's not right. I don't like that about me. That's something about me I want to change. And it doesn't have to be that every time someone responds or sends a text or sends an email that I have to drop everything I'm doing and attend to what they want to do on their schedule. I don't mean that. I do mean that I want to show the person that I do care, that I'm here. I'm here. I hear you. You are seen and heard, and I care enough to respond back. And sometimes that's just a quick little response back to acknowledge that I've received the thing. And then I don't have the guilt 2 weeks later of going back to the text and going, holy cow, I never responded. I'm a monster. Negative self-talk. I'm a monster. I'm not a monster. But you know what I mean? Like, do you do that to yourself? So I'm trying to be better about, as those texts and emails come in, responding in a reasonable amount of time, even if it's something small. You know what I mean? Even if it's something small. And that makes me feel better. It makes me feel connected to the people that are reaching out to me. And there's 1,000 other little things. For example, setting the water out. You saw my tumbler. Every night when I get ready and finish my skincare, I fill up that tumbler with fresh water so that it's there as I get up through the night and need to take some sips of water. Simple. And I don't have to worry about it later. In the mornings, if we're going to eat a certain kind of meat for the evening and it needs to be seasoned, season it in the morning. Get it done and let it marinate so that when you're ready to cook in the evening, you can just take it out and put it on the grill, in the pan, in the oven, whatever the case may be. Those kinds of simple little like hacks, if you will, if you want to call them that. They're not all hacks. Sometimes it's just like doing the thing, but doing things that I will be happy that I did tomorrow, doing them today, making sure they get done. They get done. The little things, the little things. Those are the things that if they add up later on will annoy you to death. You know what I mean? So yeah. Being good to the me of tomorrow by doing the things today. And it's a balance because I am also a fan of prioritizing what I need to do for the day. And not all of those things are important, those little things. So it's a matter of sort of, keeping a balance. If you think about like a scale, right? Enough of those little things so that that part doesn't get out of whack and loaded down. And enough of the priority things so that you are taking care of important things and not letting the little things crowd out the important things. Whew. Yeah, life is hard. There's a lot to think about every day. There's a lot to think about every day. So I'd love to hear from you. What's a thing that you want to leave behind? And what's a thing that you want to take forward into your new year? I have a lot more to share with you all. I want to give you a different kind of handbag update. So about luxury versus like mid-range luxury and all of that. We'll talk about that a little bit more maybe another time. And I have some videos coming up about like my favorites from last year, both in the beauty, skincare, hair care space, and in the home and lifestyle space that I'm excited to film as as well as an empties video. There's so much like content in my mind, so much content that I want to share with all of you, my friends. I hope your new year is off to a great start. Thanks for being here today. Take care.